Okay. Mic check 1 2. Mic check 1 2. Everybody is. We here. What's good?
What's good? You were waiting for me to say something?
No. I was checking the audio because I was watching the
I was
stream.
gonna say, man, awkward silence.
It was meant to be like that. Welcome to the other show on this channel, alongside some long form content that's gonna come out whenever I move. I don't know when that shit coming out. It's gonna come out one day. But welcome to what needs to be said. This will not have an episodic like structure. These shits happen when they happen. When I put them out, don't ask me about them. They're gonna come out when they drop. All right. For the first one, we got Red Hood. We got Hardhead. Hardhead is on the affirmative. He's gonna be going after these shits. Red Hood on the defense. He's trying to stop Hardhead from putting the ball in the hoop. Our subject matter will be microtransactions. However, there are some rules. Rule number 1, chief amongst those rules: do not attack your opponent. Please, no personal attacks. Attack the points, not the person. Thank you. Rule number 2: there will be 3 questions and how I ask them. These questions have 10 minutes apiece, so that means y'all get to argue both. Affirmative for 5 minutes, defense for 5 minutes. Then we move on to, well, technically 15. Then closing on that point, move on to the next one. 3 questions. Y'all ready to get this popping?
Yeah.
I guess so.
I guess so.
I guess so, bro.
Oh, man. All right. So, Hardhead will be, again, let me reiterate. Hardhead is the affirmative. That means he's going against microtransactions. Red Hood is on the defense. He's defending microtransactions in this case. Misnomer? No. Just to clarify, Red Hood does not agree with microtransactions. I flipped a nickel earlier before we started this shit. He just happened to land tails, baby. It is what it is. So, first question. Do you think that all forms of microtransactions are harmful?
Of course, the fuck.
Argue the point.
I mean, they all harm each game in their own type of way. Like, even the cosmetic ones, we didn't seen that it's possible to fuck that up too with games like Destiny. Destiny was a perfect example of them using a cosmetic microtransaction system to change their matchmaking. Like, we never got confirmation that it went through, but there was a patent that showed that they was using cosmetics to decide their matchmaking for a while. But it all of them are bad. I can't think of a situation where microtransactions don't, in the long run, hurt a game.
You done? You finished? You got 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You got 5 whole minutes. You good? Just want to know now.
I mean, you need me to take 5 minutes to explain to you why all microtransactions are bad?
No, I said you have 5 minutes.
Different types of microtransactions, but I mean,
all right, you have 5 minutes to say whatever you want on it. Whatever you want.
No, I'm gonna let him get his point across first.
All right, Red Hood.
All microtransactions are not bad in the case of free-to-play games. And what I mean by free-to-play games, we have games like Fortnite, games like League of Legends that are free-to-play models, Warframe as well, that those games are free. Those games are then downloaded by us, the players. We don't pay for those games. The company has to pay their employees, and their only source of revenue is microtransactions, cosmetics, such as Fortnite. And we've seen the biggest, I think, the revenue. Let me put this out here. Give me a quick sec. In-game account. So for about Fortnite, has the V-Bucks. You have a pass that you then purchase to get those emotes, the skins, and those then go to the company, and then they make a profit, and then they could do more updates then to create more cosmetics, more different weapons, those different types of skins. Then they would get the proceedings and then pay their employees. And free to play models, those help the developers and then gives money to the publishers, because if you do free to play models, there's no other way to make revenue for those games, because there's like no other revenue unless you want to like donate money to the company. So free to play models like that. Same thing with League of Legends. You could play that game for free, but then they would also kind of tease a bit of like different cosmetics for those players for MOBAs. And once you see a potential skin that you want, then you would then purchase it through Riot games and stuff like that. And then let me look for Fortnite real quick, because there was another thing. So Fortnite Mania fuels Epic's growth to $8.5 billion. And this company was never worth the value as it was before using the microtransactions for their game until Battle Royale craze. But they make that much money, and hey, we don't know the actual difference the studio was from beforehand and afterhand, because those employees might have gotten a raise for how much that company's worth. I'm not going to argue that point, but the company has seen growth, and the company also probably expands, creates more jobs, and the microtransactions help in that case of that growth, because we've never seen like that amount of growth. And I also think, for microtransactions that, hey, the only way it would then be harmful, like you're saying, like not all or all, when we're talking about then $60 games, then that's harmful. But in the free-to-play space, it's not that harmful, such as games like Warframe, like I've said, League of Legends, and Fortnite. I don't know about Dota because I never played Dota, so I don't know if that's an actual free-to-play game.
It is. I can give you that.
Yeah, which I'm going to assume that it also has, a form of microtransactions that give, a source of revenue for the company and employees. So I think that's it for me.
That's all you get. Hardhead, your turn to rebut.
I mean, you sure that's the only ways of revenue that they can get from free-to-play games? Because if I'm not mistaken, you can also get revenue from advertisements. Because last time I checked, if you play most of these mobile games, that's where most of their revenue comes from, and they don't really throw them at you. It's kind of like it's their way of you taking a break from the game, so you don't just throw yourself into the game for hours on end. They hit you with a 30-second advertisement and you right back into the game like it's nothing. That's where real good revenue comes from. Games like what's that fucking game? PUBG Mobile. Most of that shit comes from advertising. I don't even know if it has microtransactions. It did chart though. I remember that much. But if it does, it might have came from the micros. It might not have. But I know they get a huge revenue boost from from advertisements. And the whole thing about seeing like in free-to-play games where you only buy cosmetics, that's real malicious, because some people will see a skin and then they'll try their best to fight it, but eventually they know you're gonna give in and try to spend money on those items that you should be able to earn and not have to pay for. Like, it's okay if there's a way to earn them, but 99% of the time there isn't. You have to buy those skins. Until someone argues it down, there's no way for you to earn it, basically. That's how most of these free-to-play games work. And I don't know. I don't like using Fortnite as an example either, because the Fortnite uses a lot of unoriginal ideas where they don't actually pay any of the creators that they got those ideas from, which ends up making the industry look bad as a whole. So they just a bad example altogether. All those 10-cent companies, to be honest. I mean, that it is what it is. All that shit's still bad. Like that, I don't know. That wasn't the best examples of, I guess, because free to play is a horrible example to use for microtransactions. Those people know they know how to make their money. They just know they can get you in different types of ways. They know they have their own malicious ways of getting you to spend your own money. Even though that game is perfectly fucking free. They can up the fucking the scale of leveling. Like I said, with Destiny. Even if Destiny was a free-to-play game, they still had the whole model where you get matched up with people who have better looking items than you just so you can get convinced to go spend silver and shit like that in the store. And I don't know. I guess that's all I have for now.
All right. So good first topic. Good first topic. I'm gonna just say personally, I agree with both points that y'all are making, and to be honest, I feel I understand y'all points, and we gonna keep it moving. I think y'all did a good job. I ain't gonna lie to you. Question number 2: how do you think microtransactions should be used? Since you started the first question, Hardhead, I'm gonna start Red Hood with this one. You tell me how they should be used.
So what we said, in the previous question, and then relating it to this question, that I think, purely cosmetics, emotes, skins, those are the ways to, have microtransactions. We're seeing it being done with Anthem, because EA has been, largely criticized for Star Wars Battlefront 2. It's microtransactions with the star cards, and then they were like, okay, Anthem has to have just purely cosmetic microtransactions and nothing that is detrimental to the gameplay aspect, because gameplay is key to said games. And what I think is, then, we're talking about free to play games. That's like the ways to do it. League of Legends, Dota, as well as even Quake has skins. It has a pass to unlock basically everything in terms of like matchmaking. I'm not saying in terms of custom matchmaking that it's right to have like the full version, but it's free nonetheless. And I'm talking mostly about the skins, though. That's a good way of like customizing your multiplayer character or things like that. And I think the same thing. I do, big fan of like The Last of Us, but in terms of multiplayer, I don't think guns also should be a form of microtransactions, because it can change up the gameplay mechanics, can give you OP weapons, and then everyone then wants that OP weapon to balance things out. I disagree with that. I do think, though, if you want to make another source of revenue, and you just do the skins for guns, which I think many people should do like and that's really more of the CS:GO route. But the CS:GO does like the opening the chest with keys that you have to buy,
Loot boxes.
Yeah. So I think the loot boxes aren't for me, but I think that having cosmetic guns, cosmetic characters, and things of that nature is a better way to do that. And I think that should be applied if developers want to have microtransactions. I'm not saying that everyone should, but if they're looking for that route, and through because game budgets are insane nowadays, and we've seen that throughout the years. They've been increasing to this point because of the jobs having higher pay, even though the pay isn't as good as it should be. But having all that and just going for purely cosmetics and not impacting the game is key to a successful game without criticism, and you gain an audience that is, in the eyes of the public, pro-consumer. I'm not saying it is pro-consumer, but in the eyes of the public, it's pro-consumer. And they're not going to be attacked for doing things that are just purely cosmetic and not gaining an advantage, or not gaining double XP boosts in like games like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, for instance, or Shadow War. Just having things that are not negatively affecting the gameplay experience, and players noticing that, not that going for that route, going for things that will not be detrimental to the experience is key, because it will take you out of the experience, and players will notice that. But if you want a skin and you see that and you're like, oh, that's a really cool skin, even though, my skin isn't as cool, I could support, the devs by going for that route and just purchasing that skin.
All right, 5 minutes up. Hardhead.
Picking up where he just left off at the end right there, about the whole cosmetic thing and just being skins. As long as they can be earned at a meaningful rate, then it's not really an issue. But that's never the case. Like, perfect example, Overwatch, because that's most of the ones where you can get skins. They also have a loot box system tied in with the purely cosmetic microtransactions. So sometimes when you're buying that skin, you're also paying for a loot box, which means you only get a chance at the actual skin that you're trying to get. That's how most of the games do it nowadays. The only examples I can think that are purely cosmetics are like fighting games. But other than fighting games, that they're always tied in with some kind of loot box. And it could take you sometimes years to get a specific item that you wanted, just because they put your microtransactions also behind a loot box wall. So purely cosmetic is just as bad, because it's like they're trying to bait you into playing a game, because you might get into a match and see a skin that you really like. You probably didn't even know the skin existed in the first place. Next thing you know, you start putting hours into the game that you probably wouldn't have in the first place, just to get that one skin. And once you get that one skin, you didn't put that game down for months and don't even know why the hell you worked to get it in the first damn place. You brought The Last of Us. If I remember correctly, now I don't know what happened with the next gen version, but the original Last of Us DLC, the whole guns that everybody doesn't like, it was actually DLC in the PS3 version of the game that came with like maps and stuff. It was kind of like what a Call of Duty DLC would be, but it also came with the guns. And I don't know what happened in the next gen version, but they just gave us the maps for free, but they kept the guns behind some kind of paywall. Now I'll admit that's kind of fucked up, but at first I guess they meant well. I don't know. It shouldn't have happened in the first place, because that was a game where they really gave people a fucking advantage. That should have never happened. Like, if you're good enough at the game, sure, you can balance out the fact that some people who have no skill get a competitive advantage that wouldn't exist if they knew how to use the vanilla weapons. But it shouldn't have happened in the first fucking place. I don't think they should be used at all. Like, there is no time microtransactions should be used. Just make a good fucking game. That's all you got to do. Look at all these PlayStation games that dropped this year. You make a good game, people are gonna go fucking buy it. If we can tell, like, you're gonna show us the game before it comes out. Like, ain't nobody about to buy a game you ain't shown to us. Now, if you show us this game and we're like, holy shit, this game looks fire, we got to get this game. And if the player base exists, people are gonna buy your damn game. You don't have to throw microtransactions into it, but you also have to still support that game. Like, I know Rising Storm 2 was one of those games where they made a good game and started to sell it first, and they stopped supporting it and they lost their player base. This game was #1 on Steam it was only for like a week, but it had the potential. When all you got to do is make a good game and stick to it. If you're gonna do the whole games as a service thing, which is just as fucking bad. There's examples where it could work, but nobody uses it that way. Microtransactions just shouldn't happen at all, though. Like, it's gonna, if we don't do something about it now, it's gonna really hurt us in the fucking long run. It's gonna really hurt our pockets. I don't think that the price of games should go up, because I do understand that like he said, the price to make these games has gone up. But the price of the game shouldn't go up. You should just make a good game that people want to buy, and you won't have to worry about these price hikes in development, at least. But yeah, that's it. They just shouldn't happen at all.
You got one more minute.
I'm good.
All right. So I already asked the comment in the comment section who y'all was writing question 2, and I'm getting a lot of hard head from Gian. This one I'm gonna keep my mouth shut because I have no horse in that race. I'm just gonna fall back into the mist like Homer, fall back into the bushes. But yeah, for our last question before we do closing arguments, and Hardhead kind of touched on it already. If, say, hypothetically or not, because we don't know the future, we can't foretell. We're not Nostradamus. Say, for instance, the industry got rid of microtransactions. How do you, either or, doesn't matter who, but Hardhead's going to go first since you already went first, goes back and forth. How do you think the industry will correct itself if microtransactions go away?
Just make good games. That's all you got to do. Make good games. Now, it's kind of a bad time to say that, if I'm being honest, looking at the whole Rockstar situation, because that is some people putting their blood, sweat, and tears and making an amazing game.
Wait, hold on. I may have said the question in a way that you didn't understand. So what I mean by correct is, do you think the prices will rise? Also, keep going with that point. I just want to clarify the question. Basically, what I mean by correcting itself, will the price of games go up? Will certain studios shut down? Okay, how will the market?
I see what you're saying. Eventually, yes, they have to go up. I don't think now is that time. I think now is just a time they need to make better games. But as far as how would it affect us? I'm trying to think about it for a second. Like, I don't know. I feel like there might be some pay cuts every here and there, because as the games get better, the technology gets better. Sometimes it might be a need to work on a project. We could see some people getting laid off and stuff like that. And I guess they try to see microtransactions as their way of saving people's jobs. But I don't think that's the case at all. I don't know. It would put the industry in a weird place because of how comfortable they already are with it. But if you can, like I said, if you can just make the quality product, don't half-ass it, don't rush it, don't try to crunch it. Just make a quality product. If you need a little bit of extra time, we have shown already we are willing to wait. Don't listen to the little fanboys that like to get all their panties in a wad because the game didn't come out the first day they was promised it and shit like that. We are willing to wait. I mean, we still got people waiting on Crackdown 3. Like, come on, Doug. We are willing to wait. I don't think it'll affect the industry as negative as people want it to. Though. I'm seeing a lot of games start to phase them out, which is good. So it's like they're kind of working towards getting rid of them and trying to show that they want to make the effort, but at the same time, we have to, like, people don't like to hear, but we have to open up our wallets, dog. I don't think it'll affect the industry too bad. There'll be a little hiccups here and there, but for the most part, we'll be all right. That's it.
All right, you got technically 2 minutes left, but since you used 3 or 5, and I'm like, you technically got 2 minutes left, so we gonna go ahead. Red Hood.
So if there aren't any microtransactions in any video games, I do think that it could affect the game industry negatively. Now, for how long, I can't say. I can't predict the future. I do think a lot of games that people are, strongly play religiously, like games like League, games like Dota, games like even CS:GO, that the content that is created, like skins and stuff like that, that's going to be phased out, and people won't see, a reason to play those games, those free-to-play games that continue to get content and, continue for, players to be, actively engaged in those games. Even Fortnite, without that, and without that revenue source of stream where then they can create, more skins, more cosmetics for people to earn, that's just not going to happen. And like, I know Hardhead was talking about ads and stuff like that, but I was trying to, search and see how much like ads, like in terms of like percentage that, gaming companies make. And I couldn't find anything in terms of that. I know they gain a, percentage, but I don't know how much of that percentage for the ads. So I can't really take into account whether or not, ads could help that. But like free to play games like would be non-existent into the gaming market. So games like I mentioned, even Overwatch with content that doesn't consistently come out, they can't just bank on people buying the games and just like, hey, we're just gonna keep playing the game. That like they're not gonna get the source of revenue for that. Online multiplayer games only is just not gonna happen, and they're not gonna push out those multiplayer experiences consistently. They would then just work on another multiplayer game and make money off of that for the short duration. Because even Rainbow Six Siege, is very dependent on microtransactions and people, continuously wanting to play those games, and even Destiny. So it's like a lot of like multiplayer games that are dependent on that might not exist, or might go through a stage for the studio that there will be layoffs, there will be people losing their jobs in that way, because that revenue is just gone. And then they have to then change course and how they're going to make games in the future. And that could take a long time. And then they would have to shutter the studio or close it down. And that's really, and the case being, and I'm not talking about like the third party like single player games. I'm mostly talk about those online multiplayer experience are like solely dependent on updates that keep coming out and people wanting to purchase that, because once you cut that out, then they can't consistently update those games. And then when we're talking about the AAA atmosphere, like I've never seen a AAA game with ads. And I feel like if we were to get ads, like how much would those big AAA developers would make out of it? I have no idea. And I feel like the course correction, you have higher priced games. You won't have those multiplayer experiences like people love. And even like the competitive scene might die down for the multiplayer aspects of games, because we've seen a lot of like YouTube channels too would also take a hit for that too. With the gameplay videos of unlocking skins, unlocking, gun skins, and all that, and emotes. And, you'll see a revenue loss from them too. And it would be a big shakeup for the industry. I can't tell you whether or not it'll rebound, but there will be a lot of people that lose their jobs for that point of no microtransactions in those games, and free-to-play games would be no more. And
you done?
That's it. Yeah, I'm done.
Oh man, you had a minute left. Well, so yeah, you guys both asked your questions. Let me go ahead and ask our audience who they thought was right in question 3. So with this, we have gone through all 3 of our questions a lot quickly than I thought we would. Didn't expect that. Kind of fucked. I didn't have 4 more questions because really, microtransactions have kind of been talked to death. So yeah, we got some insight from both guys. So now we're gonna do closing arguments. Since Hardhead went first on the last question, it's back to Red Hood. Closing argument on microtransactions.
Wait, is it me?
Yeah, closing arguments.
Okay.
Closing arguments on microtransactions.
We've talked about whether or not microtransactions need to be in video games, but I've argued that in in terms of gameplay aspects, that there shouldn't be any guns that are locked through microtransactions, but purely cosmetics, purely just gun skins, skins for characters. Those are like the right way to go about it, and you'll have those games like Fortnite, like League of Legends, like CS:GO. I meant for free to play, not CS:GO. For those free to play games. That they can thrive. And then those solely dependent games that need those content, like Rainbow Six Siege, and other games like as well as CS:GO and Overwatch, they need those microtransactions. And I'm not talking about loot box. I'm just talking about the purely cosmetic skins and people just purchasing that. And if they were to go about that, then they would be able to create more content for their online aspects. And if there weren't microtransactions, you would see a big decline for free-to-play games, a big decline for just multiplayer aspects. And we will see a price increase for video games because we've, throughout the years that the video game industry has gone through, we've seen a big increase in game budgets. We've had game budgets from back in like the 1990s, such as 1994 Mortal Kombat 2, just $10 million, and that's with marketing as well. And then when we go to like Modern Warfare 2, that was like $200 million for, Call of Duty. And we've then seen that price increase. Now the Call of Duty was just like the exception to just being like 200 million, but like God of War 3 was 44 million, Gran Turismo 5 60 million. And we're going to see those prices increase and increase as well. And even I think Star Wars The Old Republic, $200 million, and that's just a free to play game. So having those microtransactions and that just creating consistently content updates, like that's going to cost a lot of money, and they need those sources of revenues, especially for free to play games, for microtransactions. And without it, like you're not going to have those content updates always come out. And without those microtransactions, you're going to see a big price increase for video games. It'd probably be to $80, as well as we might see people like lose their jobs in the free to play market. And those like online aspects, like I talked about, like Old Republic, MMO games, like they need to have those microtransactions in order to thrive, in order to keep bringing in content. And Rainbow Six Siege does that as well. They need that content. They need those microtransactions in order to survive. And I'm talking just purely cosmetics and all that. And I'm not, not arguing whether or not their microtransactions are good. I'm just saying that just having the purely cosmetics will make a difference, because without having, microtransactions that aren't being detrimental to the gameplay is the best form of microtransactions that if it's required. So, but even like it's just, we have to take into consideration that game development is increasing and increasing. And as well as if, devs start getting a increase in pay, we're also going to see then more the development for video games increase as well. And it's just going to be, a big source of like a rocket development. So, but overall, short, microtransactions that are, just purely cosmetics that aren't detrimental to the gameplay aspect are the best way to go, and the best form of keeping games like, Fortnite, League of Legends, and then going into the aspect of like CS:GO, Rainbow Six Siege, to keep those alive and keep getting that source of revenue. If not, those type of games won't exist in the near future. And the same thing goes for Quake. Those games won't live on because no one then wants to continue to play a game if there's not going to be content consistently coming out. And they need that source of revenue. They need that sort of, the microtransactions for purely cosmetics to thrive, to create more content. If not, the multiplayer aspect of the life of that game will die out. But I'll end that there.
You're lucky because you only had literally half a second left. So hardhead, close an argument, sir.
Um, I guess closing argument. As far as the whole purely cosmetic thing goes, it's not as simple as that, I guess you could say. You know, there has to be a meaningful balance between a way to earn them and a way to buy them. Like or a meaningful way to earn whatever currency it is you use to actually get those cosmetic items. Because I can see what he's saying about the whole online only situation, but I feel like the real solution in that is not trying to figure out a different way to make money. It's as we advance in technology, we need to figure out a new way to cut the budget. Because if we can cut the budget, the entire industry benefits from it. We can probably just throw them out the door if we can find a way to cut the budget. Because there's no way we're advancing technology as fast as we are, but they haven't found a way to cut the budget. Either they found a way, and I was trying to find something. I was looking, I couldn't find anything, but I'm pretty sure at this point they've at least found some ways. But instead of well, they probably cut the budget for the games, but that money just ends up going somewhere else into the company. Some higher ups are probably just getting paid higher. Like I said, I was trying to look into it. I couldn't find anything myself. So that's just my educated guess on the whole. If we cut the budget, what would happen? Because there's no way in hell they haven't found a way to cut the budget at this point. There was something else I was trying to say. I can't fucking remember it. About people not wanting to play the games after they come out. I don't know. If you put enough in, like I said, you put enough into the game, you make a great enough game, people will never stop playing it. Last of Us hasn't had anything new happen to it in what year is it? 2018? I think 2013, 2014 was the last time Last of Us had any content added to it. They update the damn game like stability wise once a year, and people are still playing that shit religiously. Like I said, you make a good game, people will never stop playing. There's a lot of games I can look at on my PlayStation, and I'll never put some of these games down just because I know the amount of time, hard work, and how great they made this fucking game. I'll still go back and play Borderlands 2 because of how great of a game that was. And that's still in the whole microtransaction area. Like I said, it all boils down to making a good enough game. But like I said, I do see what he's saying though. But I feel like if I know that someone's found a way to cut the budget by now. We got to figure out where this money's going. Because there's no way in hell the budgets are getting higher when the technology is advancing. That just doesn't make sense to me. It shouldn't make sense to anyone. How are we getting better at making things, faster at making things, quick at making things, more efficient, but it's costing us more to do it? That doesn't make sense. Not at all. Like the most I can see is they paying for new program advancements, like a new Unreal Engine or some shit. Like the budget shouldn't be as high. The money's just getting moved around the company somewhere. I was trying to find some articles or something myself. Like I said, I couldn't find nothing. So maybe I'm just throwing a dart in the wind or some shit. That was a horrible analogy right there, but you know what I mean. We just need, like I said, it's fine only when there's a meaningful way to earn it. Simple as that. If there's a meaningful way to earn it, and it doesn't feel like I'm being baited into eventually paying money to get a certain cosmetic, then I don't see the issue. Just have them. It's fine to have them there. Like another example. And it's messed up because this is a single player game, but Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Now I haven't put the time into it myself, but a lot of players that played it will tell you it's more like the microtransactions are there, but you don't really know they exist unless somebody tells you about them type thing. That's the kind of approach we need to. If we can get more of that in gaming, then I don't think most of us would have a problem with microtransactions. Even though the way that Assassin's Creed was doing it is kind of malicious. That's a whole nother topic right there.
Oh
Like,
shit.
Bruce, like, come on, man. That's a whole nother topic itself.
Yeah, I was about to come tell you your time is
I'm
up,
out
but
of
yeah,
time. All right.
yeah. But there's your closing arguments, everybody. You guys decide in the chat who you agree with, who you disagree with, how you feel about the first episode, all of that. And we're through with the debate. Probably next time we're gonna do this, I'm gonna try to get two fully new guests, not from the Usual Suspects podcast, and host this with a new topic, new everything. So
We
yeah,
got to jigger for the next episode, dog.
I don't know about Jigga. I
Um,
might get BG. I don't know.
Oh, BG. Oh man.
we could get a BG feature. I ain't even know, dog.
I'm gonna ask, but hey, yeah, but
Who would BG go up against?
I don't know. I mean,
oh.
Dude, it should be you, Sentry. I'll referee.
Yeah, let's see you go up against BG, dog.
BG
I'll
on
referee. Put the
Yeah,
rules in
let
place.
one of us mediate.
mediate what?
Mediate
I can
the
hold on.
argument.
By the way, I have topics picked out for the next show already. Like I have like a couple. Well, I don't want to say months of content because that sounds wild, but it might as well be a couple months of content. The next show, its topic will be on diversity. So,
Oh,
Yeah, definitely have BG on for that.
if I can get BG, if I can get Broken Language HD, Broken Games H Dizzle on here, I'm gonna try. I want to thank all of y'all for coming out. BG versus Jack would be wild. I like listen. Hit okay. I'll say this and then we'll end this show. If y'all want to see
we can
somebody,
get Tick on an episode. I ain't
hold
gonna
on. If y'all want to see a debate between two particular people, hit them up. I'll talk to them, see if they can get them on at this time frame for a debate. I'll give them the questions, see what they feel, flip a coin, see who's going the affirmative, who's defending. Listen,
Yeah, just tweet it out and at Sentry as well.
yeah, just tweet it out. Let me know. Y'all know the topic for the next show. I don't know if it'll be next month or the month after that. If y'all want to see more of these quicker, hit the like button. That shows me that y'all have interest in this shit. And we gonna get the fuck up out of here. Red Hood, Hardhead, let them know where y'all at.
go ahead.
All right. Well, you guys can check me out at Twitch at RedHood420. I do some live streams. I still got to finish that Spider-Man PS4 The Heist DLC. Big. I'm fanning out for that DLC because Hammerhead and Black Cat. But other than that, I'll be live streaming a couple horror games as well, hopefully before Halloween. It's just that I got a couple exams throughout the week, so I know that Friday I definitely will live stream Red Dead Redemption 2, so check that out. Tomorrow will be the Overlevel podcast around 9 p.m. Eastern time. It'll probably be short. There's not many gaming topics, but we're going to talk some gaming topics, movie topics, and TV shows, and give our thoughts on that. And follow me on Twitter at RedHood240. I tweet out some interesting things and retweet out some interesting things. And make sure to hit the like button for this, guys. And make sure to, subscribe as well here. So, yeah.
Hardhead.
YouTube.com/. I don't know the link, but just look for me.
Wouldn't be user. And then wouldn't be user / Hardhead 7. That's my assumption. I'm not sure. I'll go look.
Same name on Twitter and Twitch, dog. Twitch is my main stomping ground, so that's where you could catch me at. I should be streaming tomorrow, same as Red Hood. I just copped the DLC. I've been in people's streams, but I ain't been watching. I've been ducking, so it's spoiled for me and shit. Screenshots don't do as much as people think they do, but yeah, I should be on that tomorrow. I know it's been a while since I've been streaming. Your boy been going through some real heavy personal shit, but we're gonna be back tomorrow, though.
All right, y'all heard it. Hardhead gonna be back streaming tomorrow. Also, Hardhead's channel link is in the description. Well, not in the description, but in the comments. I just posted it. I wouldn't have found it. There's Hardhead's channel. Go like, subscribe to all his videos, including his 4 for 4 video. Or how you say this shit, Hardhead? I'm not from Louisiana. I can't say it right.
Say the what now, dog?
4 for 4 or some wild shit.
4 for 4?
4 for 4, something like that.
4 for 4.
See, I can't say this shit. I'm not like.
Bang 4 for 4.
Listen, I'm not from that part of the South. God damn.
Man.
But yeah, I want to thank y'all for coming to. Yeah, whatever the fuck that is. But yeah, thank y'all for coming through and watching what needs to be said. We'll be back soon with some new content on this. I want to thank y'all for coming through. Peace. We out.